Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the technically second episode of Minecraft Civs. Today we're going to be going over how to settle your town and attributes you need inside your town to make it possible. As you can see, we have a shelter and a coal shop. These were covered in the last episode. Although this technically is episode 1, episode 0 covered the bare essentials and the controls along with this plugin. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go back. I'll put a link on screen along with an annotation and a link at the top of the description. If you want to go back, learn the basics on how to use this plugin, please by all means do so. This is the first real step people are going to make to start making your town. So as you may remember from last episode, we had a shelter and I put some potatoes, carrots, and bread in it. While I open it, it's completely empty. The reason it is empty is because the shelter has consumed that food and added the money back to my balance. I have $613 now from having this food consumed and also having a portion of this coal consumed. The coal shop sells to the server 144 pieces of coal a day for $400 and something. If you'd like to figure out the exact amount, you can go to shop, shops again, and coal shop. This is exactly where we went last time. To buy the coal shop, you return to this location and you can see a description of the store. The leather shop and the flower shop, however, do not have a quantity attached to them. To my understanding, on the previous server that I play on, the leather shop and the flower shop seem to be more consistent. You seem to be making money quicker that way. It doesn't have a set amount. You just kind of throw however much leather, however many flowers you want into a shop and you start making money. I don't know if it was intended that way, but leather shops and flower shops personally feel like they sell a lot quicker. So once again, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you have no idea how I got here to this point, please return and watch the last video. It will explain all the guidelines along with the parameters you need to install the plugin. And I will not go over the basic controls in this video. You'll have to go back and watch the previous one. So for those of you who are returning, let's move on to the next step. We have our shelter and we have our coal shop, which are the two basic things this plugin requires you to do. If you picked merchant, you will have this quest line here that says join a town. If you have builder, you will have one that says make a town by making a council room, I believe. And if you picked a warrior, you'll have a different thing as well. These are all unique quest lines, but they also adjust as you continue through the plugin. So if you have no intention of joining a town, you don't have to. That's what we're doing right now. I picked a merchant line. It says join a town. We're going to bypass it with a few steps we're going to do here. So if you picked merchant or warrior, you don't exactly know what you're doing, and you still want to create your own town, this is the video to do so. So the first thing you're going to do, obviously, you're going to have your book. You're going to open it up, and you're going to go to shop, and you're going to go to towns, which is the glowstone block. It's a glowstone block because when you settle your town, you will have a glowstone ring above your head that represents your town's claim. So we're going to go back, go to shop, and we're going to go to towns. As you can see, there's two things in here. This coal ore represents a mining colony, which is kind of complex and took me a second to figure out how it works. Once you have a town, you can set up a mining colony, which is another area, another claim area. It's a colony, so it's still under your control. You get haste or haste 2, and monsters also do not spawn in this territory. So this is good for if you already have a town, you want to expand to a further spot that's not connected to your town. So kind of, you know, if I wanted to set up a mining colony and run 5 minutes that direction, I could do so because it doesn't have to be anywhere close to your town. It's a colony, which means it's separate from your actual town. So we're just going to go back to the Civs shop menu for towns, and we're going to buy the settlement, which costs $500. And as you can see, I sold my chest and I've sold some extra coal. I have $613. For those of you who are playing this plugin legit and in real time, you probably will not have enough money to buy the settlement. You require to sell some coal or to sell some food through the shelter. So we're going to open up the shop, go to towns, and we're going to buy the settlement. Again, clicking the emerald to buy the piece. Two things down here, we can see the limits and the building requirements. So if I'm going to pick this, it requires certain things to be built. To build a town, you require a council room. So if I buy the town right now and I try and place it, it won't work. As you can see, I got a little glitch or whatever. That's because you go to your inventory. When you hold a piece that makes a town or expands a town, you always have to type in a special command, as you can see here. In the light green, it says create a settlement by using /cv town, my town name. So we're going to do that. /cv town. We're going to name it Twin Leaf, which I believe is the name of the town in the first Pokemon game I ever played, which I think is Pokemon Diamond. So we're gonna name it Twin Leaf. It's gonna tell us right now. Didn't matter that I just took 5 minutes to figure out the name of the town, because we're missing the council room, which I just went over previously. So you're gonna have to build the council room before you can build the town. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to open up the menu, go to shop. I think it's under utilities, and here you go. It's council room. It's $500. As you can see, I do not have $500, and I'm also not gonna wait here 24 hours because this tutorial would get really boring really quickly. Wow, look at that. Magically, $500 was added to my account. That's crazy. Anyway, we're gonna go. If you don't understand, that was a joke. I'm an admin, so I gave myself $500. I didn't just get it for free. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to shop. We're gonna go to utilities, and we're gonna buy the council room. We're gonna purchase here, and as you can see, this is a council room. It's an obsidian block, and you can see the diameters of what a council room will take. We're gonna build our council room a little bit further ahead, about right here. And as you can see, if I want to place it down right now, it'll say you cannot. You need to place these blocks in that area. So as you can see here, we're missing a lot. So the radius back there represented how big it is. I believe it's 11 by 11 or 13 by 13. So we're going to construct a small little shack here. I won't keep you guys waiting. I will build this on my own time. But as you can see, it requires a certain amount of blocks, and we're going to go over the system that Civs has for building structures. When stuff is rotating, it doesn't mean you need it. It means you don't need the exact one. So as you can see, this door, it's rotating. Oak door, it was iron door, spruce door. It just means any door, okay? Prismarine stairs. You don't need prismarine stairs. You can use quartz stairs, dark oak stairs. Like, it doesn't matter, okay? It could be any of this stuff. Orange terracotta. If you see anything that says terracotta, this means 64 of like literally anything. It could be cobblestone, could be wood. It doesn't matter. This one. So you're just gonna have to figure this out. So this could be cobblestone, and this could be, say, wooden planks. I don't know. You carve 8 signs. You can see that doesn't change. It changes in material type, but you still need 8 signs no matter what. You're going to need 8 types of glass, and 4 chests don't change. So I'm going to go ahead and build that, and we'll cut, and I'll be back in a second. All right, so welcome back. This is my really scuffed council chambers. I built this really quickly. I just went into creative and just built it. As you can see, I put like 3 layers of planks straight down under the whole thing because it required a ridiculous amount of resources to build a council chambers. It's assuming you're going to build in the 13x13. I made this a lot smaller. You could make this 2 stories, would have solved the problem. I just made it 1 to kind of like fit in with the surrounding, like a kind of like a shack. The only things that are left for me to do is put chests and spruce doors in. So I'm going to put my door in. Actually, the door didn't matter. But as you can see, I got my bookshelves up here. Got some tables, got some signs, which are the most important things, stairs, etc. So when I put down my council room block, it says the only thing I'm missing are 4 chests. So I'm just going to put my chests right up here. And now when I put this down, it will create the council room. So I had to decide, I guess, where I want to put it. I don't know. I guess I'll put it right in the middle. There we go. You have successfully created a council room. So it will automatically assume where the blocks are. If I click this right now, you can see the regions I could have built. So I could have extended it a few blocks, and I could have gone, I guess, a few blocks higher. But long story short, it's going underground to detect those oak blocks I put underneath, the ones that I put, you know, down there. So if you didn't want to go and do like a basement thing, you could have gone up. It would have recognized it either way, as long as you put your council room somewhere in the middle, so it could detect it by a 13 by 13 by 13 or whatever it is. So if we click on the council room with our book, we'll be able to see the certain stuff that happens in here. Council rooms do not generate income, as far as I know. All it does is generate power. So remember how our coal shop took up 1 power? Well, this generates 2 power. Also, you can see the area. It's not 13 by 13. It's 11 by 11 by 11 for the council room. So now that we have our council room, we now get to make our settlement. It depends where we're going to do it. I would say somewhere in the middle here. It will automatically detect where the essential blocks are. So right now, as far as this is concerned, the only essential block to making the town, I believe, is the council chambers. So if I went all the way over here and tried to settle my town, it wouldn't let me because the council chambers aren't within the radius of the glowstone. So when I type in the command, I have to be within a 79 range, I believe. Okay, it was a lot of work, Took me in creative mode like 10 whole minutes to build that shack. It may take you longer, and it will mean something more to you by constructing it in survival mode for sure. I've played with my friends and on my other server, making it in survival mode. It's a lot more meaningful to you once you create it. So now that we've created the council chambers, we can now settle our town, which will allow us to pick a government. We couldn't create a government without the council room, believe it or not. That's logical, and that's why it works. You cannot create a town if you don't have any way to enforce or implement a government. So if you remember, we're going to go ahead, and you can't click and place it. You have to type in this command. So we're going to do /cv town, and we're going to call it Twin Leaf. You can also rename your town, which I can show you how to do if you do make a spelling mistake, but this should work. So we've created Twin Leaf has been created. I don't know if you can see that in the bottom left, but it does say that our town has been created. Now we get to pick our government style. There are a lot of governments here, and we're going to go through them all and make sure you get to pick the best one for if you're playing with friends or if you're playing by yourself. Congratulations, you've made your town. Now it's time for the most important decision for the first 24 hours. You can change your government type once every day, I believe, but once you pick it, you're stuck with it. Right now, by default, everyone's a dictatorship. If you click the redstone block and go back, you can see your town information. You can also click the government type right here, and you're allowed to change it once you start your town, so you will all be allowed to change it right away. Dictatorship is the default. You can change it, but you're stuck with it for 24 IRL hours. So as a lesson, let's go over dictatorship. Town owners manage alliances, can override region and town memberships, and set taxes. This one is really good for if you're on a server, you've put a lot of work into making your town, and randoms want to join it. It still gives you the last say on anything government style within your town, lets you manage an alliance, kick people out, add people to the town. You're responsible for all of that, but you still want people in your town. So it gives you a 10% daily power increase, which if you go over to the wool here, it shows you your power. So right now I'm generating 10% more than the default. So 15% cooldown reduction. This is one of the best ones. Cooldown reduction in general, not necessarily this type of cooldown reduction, but cooldown reduction and price increases are some of the best ones to have in your beginning government style. Cooldown reduction, to my knowledge, makes you sell things faster. Your cooldown is decreased, which means this chest over here, this coal shop, will sell faster with a cooldown reduction than any other town. 15% cooldown reduction means it's 15% off of 24 hours, which is real life 24 hours, a full day, which means it cycles in 20 hours, 20.4 hours technically. It sells its contents 3.6, which is about 4 hours faster than any other town. So we're going to go through a quick glance of all these government types, and I can explain all the keywords. This can take a minute, but if you're interested to know about what all the governments do and all their functions, this is a pretty important thing to stay for. I'm just going to run inside this hut, because if it turns to night, I don't want to be out here. So we're going to open up our book. As you can see, it's automatically detecting we're in the council room right now. As you can see, the central structure of a town produces 192 power per day, also acts as a home port. I can explain all that stuff later, but as you can see, this is where our power is coming from. So we're generating 192 from the council room, an X amount just as from being like a town, and then -1 from the coal shop. So we're going to go back, we're going to go to community, we're going to go to your towns, your town right now, and the government down here. So as I said, we're just going to go through them all decently quickly. I could do an in-depth guide later, but this may take a few minutes to understand how you would like to operate your town, what your style of play is, what your style of leadership is. You know, if you're on with friends, if you're going to be playing with randoms, it all depends. So the first thing we're going to look at is socialism. Dictatorship plus all utilities, farms, mines, factories, and quarries are publicly owned. So what this means is a dictatorship, which means it's the same type of leadership style as this, which means its town owners manage alliances, can override region and town memberships, and set taxes. So it's that plus all utilities, farms, mines, blah, 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 are publicly owned. 10% max power increase. We know what that does. 30% cooldown reduction for all mines, factories, farms, and quarries. So as you can see, it kind of is just better than dictatorship. So although this is a good bonus, And if you're with your friends and your friends are contributing equally to your town, this is a great policy for you. It spreads the wealth. It keeps, there's no 1%. Everyone's equal. Everyone's making the same amount of money every day. The next type we're going to look at is democratic socialism. It's a democracy, which if we move over to here, it'll tell us what democracy is, which means town owners manage alliances, set taxes, and town memberships, but voting can set a new town ownership periodically, which means if you don't like your owner, you can vote to switch them out. Democracy is good for if you're with a bunch of randoms. No one created the town, you don't know where it is, you just kind of are on a server, and a bunch of people are coming together, they want to make a town. Democracy is great. So democratic socialism is the same as democracy, but just like socialism, all farms, utilities, all that stuff is owned by the public. So as you can see, it increases your power a little bit more, which basically means you're generating more power during the day. You can have more utilities running than if you pick socialism, but you get 10% cooldown reduction rather than 30. So that's your choice. We're going to move to the next one. Communism. Everyone is an owner of everything. All region income is distributed evenly. So rather than socialism, which is only select things are distributed, utilities, farms, mines, factories, quarries, this communism means everything. There's a lot more things. There's mines, there's shops. This one isn't shops. This one doesn't say shops. This one is everything, which includes shops. 20% cost refund on all housing, which means if you go to buy a house, which we can do here by just using this as an example, we're not going to do it right now. Shop, housing. So housing, say we're going to buy a shack, it'd be 20% off, which means that price would be 80. So you just saw 20% off all housing, which is pretty good when you're starting. 10% cooldown reduction for all mine, factories, and quarries. Not bad. But there's nothing to do with money right now. If you're starting out, I wouldn't recommend communism. If you're trying to expand your town really quickly, I would pick communism. It gives you a huge discount on housing. But for right now, we don't have any mines. We don't have any factories. We don't have any quarries. So that second benefit does nothing for us. We have a coal shop and a shelter. That's it. Democracy. We already went over this. What democracy is. Go ahead and read for yourself if you'd like to see. 25% max power increase. That's a huge increase. 25% bonus. That's massive. But it's just basic democracy. No extra power increases. Just 25% max power increase. No cooldowns. Nothing extra. Oligarchy. Dictatorship plus town ownership can be bought into and bought out, which means if you got money, you can buy your way up to the top of the government. 15% daily power increase, 25% region payout increase for all shops and housing. That's not bad. This is what I picked when I first settled my town, was the oligarchy. Dictatorship is great. I'm by myself. I don't care what other people think of me. I'm playing on my own. 15% daily power increase. Great. 25% region payout increase for all shops and housing, which means that coal shop is going to give you 25% more. Which means if you calculate it, that coal shop is going to give you roughly an extra $100 a day. So similar to cooldown, it's kind of the opposite, where it gives you more money, but it doesn't increase your cooldown. Cooldown lets you sell stuff faster, so they're kind of the same. But I picked this one when I started. Town ownership can be bought into and bought out. So it's okay when you start off, but as soon as you invite someone in that you may not trust, they can just buy their way to be literally the leader of the entire town. I'm just going to read through them really quickly now. I'm going to explain any new keywords we don't have. For example, this one, we've covered everything. We know what cooldown reduction does. We know what cost refunds do. Remember we talked about cost refunds on communism. This one gives you 10% cost refund on housing. This one gives you 20, which means your houses cost 10% less. So this one gives you 10% cooldown reduction and 10% region payout. The description is it's libertarian and socialism, which just combines those two governments together. You can read through it if you'd like. Dictatorship, we know what all this stuff does. Colonialism, kind of a unique thing. No town ownership, 25% max increase, 10% cost refund. That's fine. Feudalism, 20% cost refund on mines, factories, housing, utilities, and quarries. 10% daily power increase. I know I have friends who picked feudalism. One of my buddies picked feudalism because it's a really easy way to get out a bunch of the essential things you need in your beginning town very quickly. Mines, factories, housing, utilities, quarries, all of it, feudalism, 20% off everything. The only downside is town members can't build regions in the town, which is fine if you're by yourself. Feudalism, it's another great one to start with. Tribalism means your daily power is increasing by 10% and your max power increases by 10% every day, which means the 303 increases by 10% and the 2040 also increases by 10%. So that's a new keyword. Capitalism, nothing new here. Region payout, max power increase. We all know what that does. Idiocracy, this one's kind of funny. Whoever shoots the most fireworks and spams the most signs with their name on it becomes the owner. If you don't know, idiocracy is a government of idiots. So that's the joke. 25% cost refunds on basically everything. It's kind of funny. You can use it in a starting town. 25% cost refund on everything is fantastic. So that's a good one to have if you're by yourself. But as soon as you have a friend, you need to switch this. Meritocracy is dictatorship, but whoever has the best buildings and the most kill points becomes the town owner. I don't know how it decides that. I think it's whoever has the most resources within an area. As you saw right here, you had a 13 by 13. This one only takes up like 20% and it's not that great. Someone who's built something a little bit better can climb their way up to the leadership of the town. 15% cooldown reduction, we know what that does. 10% daily power increase, we know what that does. 15% max power increase, we know what that does. Craterocracy, another one I picked when I started out. 10% max power increase, 25% daily power increase, 20% cooldown reduction for all defense utilities and inns. I don't know if inns is cut off or something, because inns are a thing. They're a type of house, but I must be misinterpreting what inn means. If you're playing by yourself, anything that says defense in it is useless because you're probably not going to war with anybody. Or if you're playing on a server with a bunch of your friends, you're probably not going to war with anyone. So this is the one I picked originally, but basically once I learned that 30% of my reduction for 20% is wasted on defense, I switched over to oligarchy. Cooperative is really great if you're playing with like really close friends and you're all going to work equally as hard. All region income is distributed evenly among all town members, and also taxes are distributed equally among all town members. But for that trade, you get 15% extra payout for all your regions. You also get 10% max power increase. Anarchy. This is one you can pick if you're willing to just risk it. If you're playing by yourself, Anarchy is not bad. Anyone can manage the town and region membership, no taxes, no alliances. This one's okay. If you're playing with friends and you can't make alliances, that kind of sucks, and that's really important on like actual servers. Alliances are really important, but these bonuses are super good. 25% region payout, 35% cost refund. That's the highest cost refund there is in any category. 15% cooldown reductions. It's very good. If you're playing by yourself, you just open up a server like this. You want to play some Anarchy? That's fine. Libertarian, no town ownership, 25% cost refund on all housing, 15% region payout for all housing. This one is a very liberal. Libertarian is great in the mid game when you're trying to expand your town out as far as possible. It's kind of not too great early, and it's also not great late. This helps you and gives you a massive bonus if you're going housing and you're trying to increase your population as fast as you can. So for me, I believe I'm going to pick Anarchy. There's no one else on the server. Taxes don't matter because I don't have any citizens. Anyone can manage town and readership memberships. That's fine because I'm the owner and there's no players on the server. And no alliances don't matter to me. These bonuses are ridiculous. If you're doing what I'm doing, this is clearly the one to go. There we go. Twin Leaf changed from dictatorship to anarchy. So now that I'm at Anarchy, you'll see these numbers begin to change over time. I'm going to start to generate more money than usual. I will get cost refunds on all offensive, defensive, housing, and utilities. I don't care about offensive. I don't care about defensive. 35% is nice. I would take it even if it was housing and utility by itself. Anarchy is meant to be a very chaotic type of government style. You war with people a lot. Obviously, there's no one on the server, so I'm just here for the bonuses. 15% cooldown for all defense, utilities. I still don't know if inn is like the actual inn, which is a type of housing, or if it's something else. I know it was a bit grueling today, but thanks for tuning in. We covered how to make a council room, how to settle your very first settlement, and how to choose your government style based on how you want to play and who you're playing with. I cannot emphasize enough how important the government choice is when playing this plugin. Next episode, we're going to cover player housing and NPC housing. Both are essential to growing your settlement to a hamlet, which is the second level of a town. You can see by going to shop, towns, hamlet is the next level up, costs 3,000 and requires 5 population. Right now we're at 2. Next episode, we're going to try and get that up closer to 5. So as I said, thanks for tuning in. You all now know what's on for next episode, and I hope you're enjoying Civs, or I hope you'll give it a try. So this is Steve, and I'll catch you in the next one.